So imagine being able to have a destination wedding in the Bahamas, or you know what, even in the beautiful city of Miami, Florida. Now, Cemone Gibson is owner of Out of the Box Weddings in Miami, and she's here on the show with us right now. Cemone, thanks for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, Eugene.
Now, I think you're the first wedding, I don't want to say the wrong thing because I heard there's a difference between wedding coordinator and wedding planner. What should I call you officially?
We can call wedding planner, wedding coordinator. We coordinate, we plan. We do a little bit of everything. It's not everything.
Gotcha. So. Okay, now you're the first wedding coordinator that we've had on Home of Biz radio show. So I wanted to have a little fun, obviously. Tell us how you got started in this business.
I started back in about 2007. It was just myself and about two other friends of mine. And we were just, we were attending FIU, Florida International University. We were just having fun, planning little events here and there. They basically moved on. One became a nurse, the other's a teacher. And I just liked planning events. Mm-hmm. And I just decided, you know what, this is what I want to do. So even though I didn't have my little team with me and everything like that, I decided to just go ahead and do it because I fell in love with it when we were doing it, and planning events in college and just having fun and just doing it for fun and for no money. We had a great time doing it, and I just decided, well, hey, it's what I want to do, so I'm just going to go for it. That's
right. Now, the thing I want to key on is that you said you were doing it for no money. Many people who don't have necessarily a business owner mentality, they want to, quote, start a business and immediately get an annual income right away. What was that process like for you guys when you realized that you could start charging for wedding coordination?
I kind of always knew that you could charge for it. It's just that I really didn't know how to go about doing it, or it felt very awkward for me to sometimes say, it's going to be X amount of dollars. And so it's just a comfort thing that I had to kind of like get into, especially when it was just me on my own. It was like, you're doing this now, you're doing this for an income. You have to charge people. It's no longer, you're doing it you're having a good time, but you want to make money, don't you?
Right.
You have to charge people, maybe a little bit. And so I did a lot of things for free just to get my feet wet. I volunteered a lot, doing events and nonprofits and different things like that just to kind of like get started. But I took a little lesson from everything that I did to help myself put my packages together and put my prices together, and I went from there.
That's cool. And you started with partners. They decided eventually that, hey, they're going to pursue other areas. How was it? How did it feel when you had people who were probably very close to you decide, hey, we're not going to take this long ride with you?
It felt a little awkward. I'm not going to, it felt it felt awkward. But I tell you why, because in some way I felt like if I went on, maybe was I betraying them a little bit? Just kind of like taking it over and doing it on my own. Mm-hmm. And then at the same time, I no longer had my backup. You know what I mean? So I was completely on my own, and it was just like, well, if it's anyone's fault, you can't look to the left, you can't look to the right, it's you. And so it was a little awkward at first. But, I grew out of it. I abandoned that immediately. It didn't take me long to kind of like get over it, honestly.
And I can tell that you've grown. I'm on your website, and not only are you handling business, but you're prepared for contingencies. Now, I got to ask some crazy questions. I'm a dude. Okay. Yes, I did get married, but when it came to our wedding, my wife told me all I was supposed to do or allowed to do was get my tuxedo and show up, okay? That's all I was allowed to do. So if the questions sound stupid, please forgive me. Now, I saw something on the website, wedding insurance. Tell me about, how does that process work? Do people, is that for the runaway groom, or what is that all about?
No. So you have all these mishaps that can possibly potentially happen. For example, rainy days, you have an outdoor wedding and everything is rained out. So, you can get insurance. You have wedding insurance that can now cover that. Or if one of your vendors, unfortunately, this has happened, they bail on you and you're not going to recoup that money back. Wedding insurance will cover that for you. So, yeah, it's a good thing to kind of like have, actually.
So if I'm the groom now, and I just want to ask for the guys who may be listening, okay? If I'm the groom, I buy the wedding ring, things don't go through, does wedding insurance cover the ring that I bought, or do I just have to take it back some kind of way?
I don't think that it necessarily covers the ring.
Darn.
It's more like for vendors, venue issues that you may have if your venue cancels on, you can't recoup the money, just different things like that. The ring, I don't think so.
Not so much. Well,
No.
at least things like the venue and things like that are covered. Now, once we get to the venue, I saw something else on the site. I loved this article, this post that you made, because I used to be a DJ, and I could see what happens when people have had a little bit too much to drink. But the post was called Limit the Open Bar. Talk to us about that.
Okay, so basically it happens. You have that one or two people in the wedding that just can't keep it together. It happens where they're having a little bit too much fun. You know, as the bride, if you know that maybe uncle this or my cousin that is going to happen, you can like just make sure that the planner knows so that, or even just alerting the bartender, listen, if this person is coming just continuously, water down, it's okay to water down her drinks a little bit. Or even if they're getting irate, you know, just letting them know to calm down. And it's, you know, it's a common thing. And of course, everything's done discreetly. But yeah, you know, we highly suggest it if you have any kind of, you know your people. And that's what I always tell my couples is that you know your people, you know your group of people. If they're dancers, if they're drinkers, so just let us know so we're not caught off guard. And we can just make sure the proper things are in place.
Gotcha. Now, see, if it were my family, we didn't even have a bar at all, okay? But if it were my family, I'd be more worried that they just run up the bar, you know, and I got a $25,000 bill at the end of the night. So, okay.
Well, that's paid for in advance.
Oh, really? Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not sweating anymore. Okay.
No.
So let's talk about the brides, right? 24 hours prior to the wedding. What are you telling the bride and preparing the bride to do?
Usually we're doing the rehearsal of the ceremony 24 hours prior, and also the dinner rehearsals happening. Those things are two major things that usually happen 24 hours prior to the wedding. Mm-hmm. And I try to prep my bride, so any items that they might have, I try not to encourage them to do last-minute shoppings or wait for things to happen for the last minute, because things just occur naturally. You know, just weird things just happen. It wouldn't be a wedding if something weird out of the blue just kind of like pops up. Gotcha. And so it's just like as much things as you can be prepared for, I tell them I send them weekly checklists, monthly checklists to just, you know, this is what you should have by now. And if you don't, you need to go get it, and just different things like that, because you don't want to wait for it to be the day before and you're up until 3 a.m. in the morning, you know, doing something that you don't want to do, that you should have done.
Cemone, I feel there's a kindred spirit. I used to be a DJ. I've DJ'd a number of weddings, and I've had brides call me at 4 a.m., and they were still at the bachelorette party.
Oh, my goodness.
You know, I've been to weddings that started 3 hours late, literally. You know,
yeah.
Maybe they needed somebody like you at that point in time, seriously. Okay.
Yeah. Those are always tough ones.
Let's go back to the business part, because, you know, once you set up your business, obviously you've got the expertise. You know, where do you start to market a business like wedding coordination, wedding planning?
You know, I started through word of mouth is always great, of course. There are a lot of options. You're not familiar with a lot of people in your area. You might want to start out doing bridal shows. They're easy to find. If you Google bridal shows in your local area, you'll get a list. Mm-hmm. And, you know, getting to get your feet wet. It's like a way, you know, they get to see you, they get to meet you, interact with you, ask you questions about your services. And at the end of the bridal show, you know, you usually collect, you know, names and numbers for people to follow up with. And It's a great way to get yourself started if you're not, you know, if you're looking for customers and you're not sure, and maybe word of mouth isn't working for you at that moment. That's a good way to start.
Gotcha. Now, and I know you mentioned that you'll do the bridal shows, and you get to know the customer. You let them ask you questions about your business and your services. But as a business owner, I'm sure that you're probably asking them some questions about what they want and trying to figure out whether or not you want them as a client. Yeah,
definitely. I'm asking them basically, you know, of course, with your wedding dates, you have a venue, trying to get a feel for how many people. You know, they might have a range, 80 to 100, whatever it might be, and so forth and so on. We ask them like those little key questions and, you know, see if it's something that we can take on, which more times than not, it is something that we can accommodate them with. Usually you find a lot of people who don't know their venue. They're completely clueless. So that is one of the biggest things that we find at bridal shows, which is good for us because we're getting the clients at the very beginning of the whole wedding planning process. So it works out for us.
Wow. So I really got to know, and like I said, I've been a DJ. I've done the weddings that started 3 hours late. I've done the weddings where we showed up and we ended up helping to decorate for the wedding that we were attending, okay? So what's the most ghetto fabulous, and I'm going to use the term ghetto fabulous. The most ghetto fabulous wedding you've ever had to coordinate.
I can't say that I had a most ghetto fabulous wedding. Of course, I've had, you know what, when my weddings that have started late, it was because it's usually the bride. The groom is never late. I'm not going to front. It's always the bride. She's super late getting dressed, and it's no other reason other than, you know, her makeup may be done. She's just going through the emotions of things. But I can't say that we've had like a ghetto fabulous wedding. I really haven't. It's more like if it's late, it's because, you know, they're getting ready. Maybe they're at their distance from the venue, so it's taking them some time to get there. We've had a wedding that started 3 hours late recently, actually.
Oh my goodness.
And it was just funny because I saw her earlier that day and her makeup was done. I was like, I know it's not the makeup. She looked good when I saw her. So why isn't she here 3 hours later? And it was just, she was just going through the motions of everything. And that was really the gist of it. And she finally showed up, the limo finally showed up with her bridal party and, you know, got them married. So, not really ghetto fabulous. I mean, I try to work with whatever the client gives me and make it the best, you know. Whatever it is that they give me. That's what I do.
You can make it happen either way, right?
I can make it happen. It's not going to be ghetto fabulous. No.
Well, hey, you know, Cemone, I've had a great time talking to you. Cemone Glinton of Out of the Box Events and Weddings. Did I get it right?
Yes, Out of Box. Mm-hmm.
And what's your website?
Website is www.outofboxweddings.com.
Awesome. Well, Cemone, thanks for taking your time out today, okay?
Thank you. Have a good day.